Alright, welcome back to TCG Everywhere. I'm going to be doing my first deck profile. This is actually one of the oldest decks I've been running. I've been running Blackwing since way back when Gale, Kalut, and Whirlwind were at ones. This is a number of years ago that I've been running this deck competitively. I have ran it through Necros at their prime. I have ran it through all sorts of good and bad times. Gotten all the way up to really high within high-ranking regional tournaments. Alright, let's get through the profiles. So what it has. All right. So for the start off, I'm just going to start off with some of the key cards for the deck. Got two Asters of the Southwind. Aster's a really good card, mostly because he can pair up with the next card on this list. But his main thing about his effect is he can't be special summoned, but he's like a lot like Blizzard, and he gets a monster, but he brings back a monster, but not from your graveyard, from your banished. So making him infinitely more versatile, especially when you have to pay costs for such cards as like Simoon or his first dot right here doesn't really matter because you're not going to be running Blackwing Dragon 90% of the time in any deck, 99.999% of the time. But the second portion is what matters the most because you get to place a wedge counter on one face-up monster your opponent controls just by banishing this card from your graveyard. It's not even one face-up monster they control; it's each face-up monster they control. So that makes him really good in that respect, because that can be utilized depending on what Armor Master version you're going to run. And I'm going to run 2 Simoon, the Poison Wind. He tends to break sometimes, so it's not that... he's still a good card, just to run it 2, I feel. Great thing about him is, if you control no monsters, doesn't matter, you can still have your back row still, but if you control no monsters, you can banish 1 Blackwing and search out a Black Whirlwind, play it immediately via his effect, and he normal summons himself. That doesn't count as your actual normal summon for turn, so making him really good. And then you can still do your normal summon. You can do your additional normal summon per turn, your actual normal summon. Biggest downsides with him is you can only summon dark monsters for the rest of the turn, but either way, you can still bring out your boss monster fairly easily. And if you already have a Black Whirlwind in hand, you get 2 searches off on that turn. His downside to his effect is, outside of the banish, is at the end of turn, if that Whirlwind is still on board, is still on the field, it goes to the graveyard and you do take 1,000, but that's still not that bad. But going in the graveyard is the worst part about that. And right now I'm running 2 Gale the Whirlwinds. Gale the Whirlwind's just, a great level 3 tuner, very versatile for the deck. And he can special summon himself, which makes it, really easy to do, as long as you control another Blackwing outside of a Gale the Whirlwind. Best part about his once per turn effect is, it is a permanent effect. You permanently have 1 to target face-up monster your opponent controls while that card is face-up on the field. Not while Gale's face-up on the field, not till in a turn, but while that monster itself is face-up on the field. It's pretty old, pretty generic effect. Alright, for my 3 ofs, I'm running 3 Crystocracodons. Once per turn, they can special summon 1 Crystocracodon from hand. He's 1900. Once per turn, he can't be destroyed by spell or trap card effects. And alright, next 3 ofs. Running triple Bore the Spear. Bore the Spear is just one of the old key staple cards of the deck. He can special summon himself so long as you control something other than a Bore the Spear on the board. So you get a Gale, you special summon him or whatever. And the best thing about him is, outside the fact that he special summons himself, is the fact that he does piercing damage, and that damage can be always game-changing at times, even if he is at 1700. Alright, going for my 1-ofs, I'm playing 1 Blizzard of the Far North. Like I said, he's a lot like Aster's, a lot like him, but he summons from the graveyard. He's a level 2 tuner, and he's just a really good card. Running 1 Orochi the Squall. Just like a lot of other Blackwings, he can special summon himself so long as you control another Blackwing outside of Orochi. And when you use him to synchro summon, you can actually change the battle position of one of your opponent's monsters. So that's always, a good thing to do, except against linked monsters because they can't change their battle position. Another good card is Hermat in the Dust. I really do want to try and see if I can get my hands on a higher rarity for this card. But Hermat in the Dust has that special summon spam of the deck. It's only 800 attack, but he can manipulate his own levels. So if you have Orochi the Squall on board, he can special summon, target the Orochi the Squall. He adds Oroshi's level to his own, making him a level 3 at that point. So he's always a good card for the deck, because it makes you go into higher plays easier. Running 1 Zephyros the Elite, you can use that to bounce He can't be special summoned like other Blackwings, but he can special summon himself once per duel from the graveyard by bouncing one card in the field. So if you have this Moon's Black Whirlwind still up, what you can do there is you can bounce that back with his effect, take 400 instead of 1,000, and the Black Whirlwind doesn't get destroyed. So you still do get to keep that. Alright, that is my main deck monsters of the deck. And I'm going to go into hand trap cards. We're going to triple Ash Blossom Joyous Springs for obvious reasons. Stop those plays as quickly as possible because you don't want your opponent going off as fast as you can. Running double Nibiru, just having a bit of a logging problem with running triple Nibiru. So double Nibiru is fine. Stops those plays, stops your opponent. Running double Veiler, just stop those plays, stop your opponent. We're going to double Impermanence. I need to actually get another matching Impermanence because the gold rare, although they look gorgeous, they are really thicker than other cards in the sleeves. I feel like that maybe they shouldn't be played in tournament duels. We're going to one Black Sonic. I'm probably going to bump this up to 2, but Black Sonic is honestly one of the key hand traps for Blackwings in general. Basically, when your opponent's monster declares an attack on a Blackwing control, banish all face-up cards your opponent currently controls. All face-up attack position. If you control exactly 3 Blackwings and no other monsters, you can activate this card from hand, which makes this a great hand trap, which means most people won't see it coming, especially if they're like, oh crap, you stopped me from special summoning, or oh no, you can Nibiru me. Oh, I got 3 Blackwings on board, hope you don't do nothing. So that's always a good thing to, try and out someone. Alright, running triple Black Whirlwind. Good thing about the Black Sonic, by the way, is it does not destroy, so it gets rid of those Dragoon plays like that. So triple Black Whirlwind, that is your main searcher of the deck. That's what Moon searches out. Basically what it does is whenever a Blackwing is normal summoned, it allows you to add 1 Blackwing with less attack points from that one. But if this is destroyed on activation or on monster summon, this does get, the effect would be negated on that play. Alright, running triple Allure of Darkness. Like I said, with Aster, Allure of Darkness does not become too much of a high-paying cost at that point. So draw 2 cards, banish 1 card. Oh, you have fodder for your Aster at that point. Running double Dark Ruler no more to stop those boss monsters. Probably going to change these guys out, but I got my 1 of Regeki, my 1 of Monster Reborn, and my 1 of Called by the Grave. Called by the Grave I'm probably going to keep in, but definitely going to look into replacing these 2. Alright, for my traps, I only got 2 different types of traps, aren't hand traps, which I got running triple Solemn Strike here. For obvious reasons, just stop those plays. Stop that Verde Anaconda, stop that whatever they might be able to try and use to try and summon out their boss monster. And a Torrential Tribute to interrupt those plays again. Because, as you're going to see here in a moment, your boss monster doesn't give a shit about a Torrential Tribute. So, boss monster of the deck is... I'm going to start with the extra deck, and here is the boss monster of the deck. Boss monster of the deck is your Blackwing Full Armor Master. There's a huge reason why he is the boss monster outside of just being a 3,000, 10-star beat stick, but it is right here, these first 5 words, unaffected by other card effects, making him obviously one of the best boss monsters out there, because unlike Dragoons, he really gives no absolute shits compared to Dragoons. But the downside is he is unaffected by your effects too, so Kalut is not going to be helping him out that much. But everything else about him does make him worthy of being a boss monster, such as the rest of his effect. Each time a monster your opponent controls activates its effects, place 1 wedge counter on that monster, maximum of 1. So the wedge counter is important, like I said. Aster uses wedge counters, puts the monsters on there, or puts it on the monsters, and that's how it goes. And the other portion of his effect is he has 2 other portions left because he is a 4 effect boss ass monster who is super easy to summon with the Blackwings. Once per turn, you can target 1 monster your opponent controls with a wedge counter. Take control of that monster. That is not telling it per turn. You can still do whatever the hell you want with that monster. This card allows you just to steal a monster so long as you placed a wedge counter on it. Again, Aster allows you to get free reign out of any Blackwing monster or any one of your opponent's monsters to do so. And then, once per turn, during your end phase, you can, that is a can, which makes it a May ability, which means you can do that anytime you want, destroy all monsters on the field with the wedge counter on it. So obviously, he is a good board wipe that you can hit your opponent with. But You can't destroy each individual. You can't destroy cards individually, but you can destroy every one of them together. All right. Then we got some some removal card right here. Rankari the Shadow, the Rain Shower. What he does is, whenever he's summoned, he becomes a tuner if you use Blackwings to summon him. So you can generically summon him in other decks, but generally going to be using him in the Blackwing deck because the second effect is really good, which is the once per turn target your opponent. You can target cards your opponent controls equal to up to the number of other Blackwing monsters you control. So if you control 4 other Blackwing monsters, you can blow up 4 of their cards. All right, and that is a soft once per turn. So if you destroy him, or if you use his effect, bring him back from the grave, you can activate that effect again. Using 1 Chidori for that attack power, because with him, he does the same thing as Rankari. He becomes tuner if you use Blackwings. And he's a good card because you get to do one big thing with him, or he just does one big thing for himself, which is this card gains 300 attack for each Blackwing monster in the graveyard. So if you summon him with just 2 Blackwings, he's immediately up to 3,200, which makes him a pretty good beat stick compared to a lot of decks. And then he has the other effect of when this card is destroyed and sent to the graveyard, you target 1 winged beast secret monster in your graveyard, except himself, and special summon it. So again, Rankari, you can use Chidori to bring him back. Then we have 2 Obsidian Hawkjoe Tamer, Blackwing Tamer Obsidian Hawkjoe. He is a warrior, not a winged beast like the rest of the Blackwings in the deck, but he is still one of the most solid cards for the deck. Big thing about him is once per turn, you can special summon 1 level 5 or higher Blackwing monster from your graveyard, including the ones that are in the grave, that are synchros, or any ones from the main deck, such as Simoon, the Poison Wind. And during either player's turn, when your opponent activates a card or effect that targets only this card, or when your opponent targets this card for an attack, you can change it to another Blackwing monster you control. That would be an appropriate target for that card or effect. And you can only use each of the effects of him once per turn. And that is a name effect that is a hard once per turn. Another good card to have right here is the last Blackwing Synchro monster for the deck, which is Nathong the Starlight. I'm running 2 of him. Great, he is easy to summon, 6-star monster, just use a Blizzard, good to go. But big thing is he deals 800 damage to your opponent, non-targeting, or makes a opponent's monster lose 800 attack and defense. Then, best part about his effect is, and you can only use that effect once per turn. That's a hard once per turn, but during your main phase, you can normal summon 1 Blackwing monster in addition to your normal summoner set. You don't gain that effect once per turn. So you can't stack it with multiple Nathongs on board, but the fact is that gives you 2 summons, which means if you do things right, you can potentially get up to 3 normal summons in 1 turn. Alright, and I know a lot of people aren't using him lately, but for a deck that burns through your monsters rapidly, Daigusto Emerald's not a bad card. You're more concerned about his second effect than his first effect, or his first effect over his second effect, sorry about that, which is where you're going to target 3 monsters, shuffle them all back in the deck, and then draw 1 card. Getting that recycle in. Another good card to add right before you go into your Zeus is going to be Silent Honor Arc. Steal one of your opponent's monsters, hit them in the face, or hit one of their monsters, and then you just get to go into your Zeus, like I said. Alright, and that's all my Exceed monster plays for that too. And I'm going to move on to my Link monsters. Probably going to change up this first one, but I'm running 2 Wee Witches Apprentices at the moment. Good card. Just need 2 Dark Monsters to summon it. And it gives all your Dark Monsters 500 attack and defense. And makes your opponent's light monsters lose 400 of their attack and defense. And not to mention, if this card is destroyed by battle or by card effect, you can target 1 dark monster in your graveyard, add it to your hand. So he's a good recycler for that effect, because you can just bring back another Blackwing monster. Alright, running for part of my boss monster killer strategy is the Tri-Brigade Frigate of the Baron Blossom. Basically, for her, you just need to use 2 Beast, Beast Warrior, or Winged Beast monsters to summon them. Guess what? Blackwings are Winged Beasts for the most part. And primary thing that you're going to use for her is you're going to either use her to step up into the next card on this list, or you're going to just use her to special summon one of the Blackwing monsters that cannot be special summoned, like Zephyros the Elite. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you get to draw 1 card, then place 1 card from your hand on the bottom of the deck. So if this card is just sent to the graveyard for any means whatsoever, you can use that for even for link off, you still get that draw, even though you're minusing out that one card in return, which isn't a bad thing that you can do. Each of those effects are once per turn for her, so she is a hard once per turn for each individual effect. And the monster that she actually special summons, I forgot to mention, cannot be used for a link play, but with the Blackwing deck, you're going to go into either you're most likely going to go into a Synchro or a Exceed play. So one of my boss monster killer cards is this guy right here. Basically, to summon him, you need 2 or more Winged Beast, Warrior, or Beast Warrior monsters. Not warriors, but Beast Warrior, Winged Beast monsters. And the best part about him is you can use your Tri Brigade, Strike the Ominous Wind. When he is summoned, or a Beast Warrior, or Winged Beast monster special summon, banish 1 card on the field. Let's repeat that again. Banish 1 card on the field. Non-targeting, non-destruction, banishment. So that gets rid of any boss monster that does not say unaffected by card effects, which is a solid play in my regard. He's a 3,000 attack monster. Banish one of your opponent's monsters. You're good to go on that. And if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can add one effectively Blackwing monster from your deck to your hand, whose levels are equal to or lower than number of your banished Beast Warrior, Beast monsters. And if you're doing things right, you can run up to probably level 4. You can grab up to level 4 with this effect, due to if you got multiple Simoons out, which I doubt that you would in the long run, but more likely that you would run a lot of your run into a lot of your Orders of Darkness. So you could at least get up to level 4, maybe level 5, but you're not running level 5, so it doesn't matter. And the last card of the deck is going to be Underworld Goddess of the Closed World. Another boss monster killer, mostly for that effect of she just needs 4 or more effect monsters to summon her. She is a Link 5, 3,000 attack. But in order to summon her, you can steal one of your opponent's monsters for the material to summon this card. Really good effect on its own, just being able to do that. And then you can negate the effects of all face-up monsters your opponent controls when this card is Link summoned. Actually, scratch that, sorry. That is an if this Link card is summoned. So an if will always happen and never miss timing. So she never misses timing. She happens, hits the field. All cards on the field on your opponent currently controls, their monsters anyways, lose all their effects permanently. So if they got that Dark Dragoon out, fuck that Dark Dragoon. You can't necessarily get rid of it with this card, but you can kill that effect altogether, bring him back down to 3,000, and not give a flying you know what. This Link monster is summoned, is unaffected by your opponent's activated card effects. So anything that targets her is what will affect her because of her own effect. But if they activate something that tries to pop it by destroying everything all at once, she isn't going to give a shit. And then once per turn, when your opponent activates a card or effect that special summons a monster from the graveyard, you can negate that activation. So she is a nice little Ash Blossom on the end of that effect too. Which, if I'm remembering that correctly, Ash Blossom gets that negate. Yep. No. That was another one of the Ghost Girls that does that. But either way, that is the Blackwing deck profile. Let me know what you think of the deck. Currently going to try and upgrade it to make it more playable regarding this format. And you know what? This has been TCG Everywhere. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share our videos. Have a wonderful day and stay safe out there.